Healing was the warm-up. This is the main fucking event. Welcome to Go Regulate Yourself, the unapologetic, unfiltered love letter you didn't know you needed. This is where mental health meets real life, where growth gets gritty, and where we stop pretending healing makes us saints. Think of it like therapy with tequila shots and a side of tough love. In this space, we're learning how to take responsibility for our shit, face the chaos of life, and become the best version of who we are. So if you're ready for your weekly "what the fuck am I doing" moment, let's dive in. Hello, Reg Babes. Welcome back to another episode on the Go Regulate Yourself podcast. My name is Brianne. I am your host, and I am dropping in here today with an extreme feeling of contentedness, I guess you could say, alongside a little bit of fuel on the fire and just this, I guess you can say, deep desire to connect with you on a very internal level today. I have opened up a portal with traveling, as typically does get opened when we start to explore and do things differently and live in a different space and a different energy. And this massive release that has been occurring for me over the last 10 days has led to some inevitable awakenings and realizations of just how strongly our societal conditioning and programming can begin to run certain beliefs through our minds and instill certain fears within us that prevent us from going after the things that we very want, keep us feeling still and stagnant, and really just subscribing to a life that realistically most of us do not want. And so today's episode is going to be a compilation of all of these things, and I promise I'm going to try to deliver these in the most concise way possible, but I just have so much rolling through my mind that I feel like you need to hear today. So without further ado, let's dive on in. So for starters, as you know, if you've been following along, or if maybe you're brand new here, maybe you don't know, I am currently in Koh Samui, Thailand, which is a little island in Thailand that we landed here technically on the 20th, but we've been traveling since the 17th of February 2026, and it has been a very interesting arrival to Koh Samui. First of all, just on a totally unrelated part of this topic, this is not our favorite island that we have ever been to. We have traveled a lot of places over the last however many years, and typically we are very much island people. We love to be on small islands, love them cozy beach vibes. This, however, unfortunately, has not necessarily been the case. This island just has kind of a different vibe to it, more of a party, lots of drug type of atmosphere, where a lot of people are just kind of like a little bit more cold-shouldered, but also blitzed out of their mind 24/7, which is not what we're looking for. I myself definitely like those laid-back beach vibes where I can just eat good food and rest and get sun and do beach walks and write and be a little bit more introverted during that time. Whereas my husband does like to socialize, but socialize more in like a expat type of vibey environment. And don't get me wrong, Asia, last time we traveled here, we definitely felt similar vibes where it was hard to connect with people and find kind of those more intimate social settings. But this island is really just a little too extreme in that direction for us, even given that. So that has been an interesting part of this like travel notion. However, in amongst this, travel for me has always been a portal of opportunity, a portal of awakening, a portal of life lessons, kind of shedding of an old version of me as I begin to learn more about myself, who I am becoming, what I desire to achieve for my life, what I want to call in, all of that goodness. And every time we hit a plane or a different destination and we take off and we leave Canada, I am reminded again and again how much more is available to us in this lifetime if we would only go after it and make that as a decision for ourselves. And in this process of shedding old versions of me, I am, of course, then calling in new identities, learning new things for myself, and really just up leveling myself in terms of energy space. And so, even though it has only been really 10 days since we took off and we started traveling, a little bit over that, closer to 2 weeks now, at the time of this recording dropping, I am still being inevitably put into a space where I am uncovering some really big realizations. Now, as I said in the last podcast episode, if you had a chance to catch up on that life update one, I was chatting about how I really did need that winter at home to be able to recover and settle and, overcome from my surgery and so many other things. And there was a lot of really beautiful things that that winter provided to me, which is all still very true and valid. However, what I have also realized in this last little bit is the impact that spending 10 months basically at home consistently, because normally we've only ever been in Canada for the last 5 years for less than 6 months a year. So normally it's around like 4 months, 6 months in Canada, and then we're traveling for the remainder of the year. This last year, we landed back at the beginning of April, and then we did not take off until over mid-February. So for us, we spent over 10 months at home, consistently on the ground in Canada. And this is the longest stretch that we have done in many, many years. Now, over the last 5 years of traveling, we have consistently been reprogramming the chains of society. Those programs, the conditioning, the fear, the beliefs, everything that this world wants to tell us that are rules for how you should live, how you should breathe, how you should show up, how you should be and do, and the actions that you should take. All of these rules, the boxes that society wants you to check, we have been actively unsubscribing from over the last 6 years. Slowly at first, this unraveling began, but now it is happening quite quickly. And we have really rewritten and overcome a lot of that over the last however many years. Now, given that this was a 10-month stretch of being home on the ground in Canada, I have come to recognize that we started to get hooked back in. The claws of a lot of these old ways of being started to really pull us in. We started to succumb to what life in Canada is. And life in Canada from this perspective, for what I currently hold, is one of shackles, one where you are expected to merely survive, to struggle, to make a lot of sacrifices and have a lot of consequences for being there full time. There no longer really is a joyous life for a lot of people who are still in that 9 to 5 grind and hustle, that American dream. There is a lot of people who are not doing so well in this society. And we started to kind of get hooked back into those viewpoints of what a good life consists of, right? If you work really hard, if you show up at the job you hate, if you please the people you don't like, if you do the things that you don't want to do, you'll get to live this good life where you have money in the bank, at least enough to get by. You have, a couple of vacations a year and you're happy and things are good. Well, after 10 months of being back home, some of these things started to kind of get hooked back into us where it was like, maybe we should look at buying something. Maybe we should look at being home more often. Maybe we should look at getting more full-time jobs. And the truth of the matter is, even though the winter was necessary for so many reasons, I am so fucking grateful that I got to have my explant surgery. My husband got to have his eye surgery and so many things. There also was this underlying subconscious ingraining that was happening at the same time that was a consequence to us being home. And now that we have once again broken free of the shackles in the mere 10 days of us being away, I feel like I can take a deep breath for the first time in almost a year, where it feels like there is possibility again. There is excitement again. There is adventure and opportunity and a calmness, a groundedness that I don't feel that I really had the entire time that we were home. Because truthfully speaking, as often as we travel and as many places as we bounce around from, the fact that we haven't had anywhere to call home, quote unquote, since 2021, I feel so grounded as a person, so calm as a person in my life in general. No matter where we are, I feel like we can settle. We can feel like it is a home. We can feel like we are comfortable. I think that speaks a lot towards just my husband and I relationship and our ability to cultivate these things no matter where we are. However, even with that being a thing, I do think this stretch of being home in Canada for that long was the most ungrounded that I have felt in a little while. Not speaking towards life challenges, because, of course, as you know, if you've been in this realm for a while, there has been a lot of things that I have been overcoming and healing and struggling with over the last however many years, especially with my company, collapse and financial struggles and bankruptcy and all of the things. But speaking in general, just towards life and feeling at home in a particular place, I do feel that being home in Canada was the most ungrounded that I have felt this entire time. And I do believe that that says a lot about the conditioning and the programming of what our society is teaching us. I mean, truthfully speaking, when I look at the life that we have been able to create, I have so many mixed feelings about it because I am so grateful for this life. There is so much freedom, so much peace, so much happiness that I have inside of me that I am experiencing with this life that we have created. But I also think it is important to note that it has not come without sacrifice, without consequence, without struggle and immense challenges at time. It hasn't just been easy for us. This wasn't just lucky. This was something that we had to work really fucking hard at to cultivate in our life. And I think sometimes that particular piece of information gets missed from a lot of people because a lot of people from the outside eye look at us and look at the lifestyle that we're living and what we've created. And the thoughts that come to mind are, oh, isn't that nice? Or that must be nice. Or aren't they lucky? You're so lucky to have that. And I just really full heartedly disagree with those types of comments. While it is nice, and sometimes I do feel very lucky, I know how hard I have had to work and the massive things that I have had to overcome, the choices that I've had to make, the mindsets that I've had to get behind to actually cultivate this life. And I think this is something that's not just applied to my life. In fact, I know it is not something that is just applied to my life, but something that we have to realize about demanding more for our lives and wanting to create more for our lives is that it takes effort, it takes consistency, it takes a belief in yourself, and it takes hard work at times. So there will be sacrifice, there will be consequence, there will be things that you have to inevitably do in order to live the life that you want to live. And this is the part of what makes it so hard and so scary for so many people to actually change their lives and go after this, is because those things that you have to do to create that life for yourself, those are things that require you to step outside of your comfort zone. And your comfort zone is this beautiful, cushy little circle that you've been in your whole life, that your ego, your subconscious mind has fully subscribed to and gotten behind for all of the years of your life up until now. And you changing your mind, you deciding that you want more, you demanding more for your life is inevitably causing you to tiptoe or jump out of the comfort zone that you currently have. And that is scary as fuck to your ego. Your ego is going to want to do everything that it possibly can to drag you back to where you currently are so that you are safe. And so, even though it seems like it might be easy for me to live this life and do these things, I have had to stretch the fuck out of my comfort zones time and time again. And the fears that you're feeling, the uncomfortable things that you are experiencing when you think about going after the life that you want, those are all things that I had to go through to get to where I am now. And I can promise you that it has fucking been worth it. Every single moment of that has been worth it. And the more that I have stepped outside of my comfort zone and created more of a capacity for change, the more I have been able to achieve and do in my life as a result. But it didn't start there. Where it started was with me in the middle of this little tiny comfort zone with these big, gigantic dreams, thinking, man, that would be beautiful. Man, I would love to experience that. But also being terrified as fuck about what that next step would lead me to. And I had to keep making that choice and that decision over and over again. As an easy example, when I look at my traveling and I look at us starting back in 2021, the entire reason why we decided to sell our house and everything that we own and move to Nicaragua in October of that year was because Canada was shutting down their planes and their borders with an inability to leave at the end of that month. And we decided, fuck it, we're not being locked in here, we're getting the hell out. And we left. And it was for that reason entirely, for our freedom, for our safety, for us to be able to experience life and not be locked into a box or a particular place. And ultimately, that was uncomfortable in so many ways, but it also required this huge sense of courage that we were going to figure it out no matter what happened. And the thing is, when we left in 2021 and every single year since we have left since then, we have not had this plan figured out. We have not had everything written down in stone where we knew what tomorrow was going to bring. We didn't have thousands and thousands of dollars in the bank. We had a short supply of income, a limited range of finances or resources to carry us for a short period of time, but also a knowing that we could somehow figure it out if we had to, if we needed to stay longer or we needed to be able to make an income while away, we were going to figure those parts out. And so for us, this was part of that comfort zone stretching. And I mean, I can look back over the years of traveling and think, a lot of people would probably just call us crazy, honestly, for the decisions that we made and how we left the country so many times without any certainty, anything that was guaranteed. We were always going on a wing and a prayer and an inner knowing of we can figure it out and we'll go as long as we can until we have to return. And somehow over the years, things have continued to work out in our favor. Things have continued to happen for us that have provided us the ability to continue living the lifestyle that we're living and doing the things that we are doing, even amongst the fucking challenges and trauma that has been occurring in my like professional life on the business side. So, I mean, really, when you look at being able to change your life and you look at demanding more, wanting to create something different for yourself than what you're currently living, it honestly, for me, comes back to mindset. And I think about the mindset that I've held for so many years. It really isn't just about affirmations. It isn't just about these things where I've just slapped on, a belief into my mind, decided I'm going to believe this moving forward. That's really not how it's worked. I mean, affirmations are a fantastic tool, as are lots of other tools for regulation and neural reprogramming and all of these fantastic things. There are a lot of really great tools out there that you can use. However, the tool is not a replacement for the inner knowing. A tool can help, a tool can shift, a tool can make things easier, make things better, but ultimately it comes down to the responsibility of you to simply make a decision and a choice and to prioritize certain things in your life. It's the inner knowing. It's if you can imagine it in your mind that something could be a life for you, that this is a possibility out there, that means that you have an inner knowing inside of your heart, inside of your being, inside of your soul that knows that it is possible. And therefore, you have to have that decision or that responsibility of deciding that this is the life that you're going to go after. And you're slowly or inevitably fastly going to stop living a life that is out of alignment. You are going to stop fucking settling and actually do something bigger and better for your life. This mindset has been what has changed my life and the trajectory of it over the last 6 years. It's what's enabled me to go from working bedside in the hospital, shift work on night shifts for months and months and months straight, to working as a coach and having a business that I was running, 24/7 with no time off and no breaks, to ultimately unsubscribing from all of it and creating a life where I get to wake up with no alarm. I get to have a slow and easy morning. I get to write and podcast and run this business in the hours that feel aligned. And especially right now when I'm traveling outside of that, I get to explore waterfalls. I get to sit on beaches. I get to go for walks. I get to eat good food. I get to get $12 massages. I get to live a good fucking life. But that good fucking life came from unsubscribing from all this shit. It came from deciding, it came from taking responsibility. It came from prioritizing the things for myself that I deem as important and actually doing those day in and day out. If there is something that I have been consistent with over the last 6 years, it is this time for myself. It's creating space. It is showing up for myself to do differently for myself. And that has looked different absolutely over the last 6 years. How I used to show up to how I now show up today is so much more in alignment now, but I had to start somewhere. I had to start with slowly building these things in and stripping away the mask, coming down to the raw version of me so that I could actually figure out who I am and what type of life I want to live moving forward. But the point is that the prioritization of this was always present. The finding myself, the choosing myself, the deciding that I wanted more for my life, this was always present. And it's this mindset, this inner knowing that has led me to where I am today. This much I am sure of, I am confident of. I know without a doubt that I would not be here today if I did not hold that mindset. And I can just see by the people that I look to around, whether they are strangers, they're people on the internet, they're people I know, friends, family, etc. There is a lot of people that I look around and I can just see that they do not hold the mindset of believing that they are worth more, believing that they deserve more, believing that they can have more. They have settled and they are comfortable settling, and being stuck in that area of their life. They're the ones who are saying consistently, "Oh, it must be nice," and "Aren't you lucky?" and "Yeah, I fucking wish," and all of these type of comments. They're the ones who are holding themselves small and refusing to change, refusing to grow, refusing to do more for their life. No matter what the goal is, no matter what area of your life is something that you want to change, you have the ability to change it. You have to show up. You have to make that decision. You're the only person that can do that for you in your life. And this mindset, this inner knowing, this belief that things are possible for you can change your life so much quicker than you could even possibly imagine. Looking back to where I was in 2021 compared to where I am now, I am shocked. I am floored at the difference that 5 years can make. And if that is any proof or indication of what the next 5 years are bringing and just how far I might be 5 years from now, I can't even begin to imagine what that might feel like, look like, or taste like in my life. It's going to be fucking delicious and epic. And I know that without a doubt because I am actively doing the things on a daily basis to create that. I just simply refuse to have the mindset that it's not going to work out. I refuse to believe that I'm going to be stuck or stagnant or settling for the rest of my life. I refuse to believe that. I know without a doubt that there is more out there for me, and I'm grabbing that bull by the fucking horns and I'm calling that into my life. And the thing is that you can fucking do that right now too. You can grab the bull by the horns. You can decide this for yourself. You can ultimately create anything that you want in this life, but you have to be willing to go after it. You know what they say about priorities, right? Is that we will always find a way to prioritize what is the most important in certain seasons of life. And of course, we cannot necessarily check all of the boxes in every area of our life at the same time. There is a season for everything, a season where we are going to be focused on particular things, a season where we are going to find certain actions easier than others. But regardless of all of that, whatever we are making a priority is going to be what shows up for us in our life the strongest. If it is a priority, if it is important to you, you are going to find a way to do it. Take eating as a very easy fucking example. Eating for you is a priority because eating keeps you alive. Eating is necessary. And therefore, no matter what, you are always going to find a way to eat every single day. Now, take this as anything else in your life. If you're currently saying, well, I wish I could do this, or I wish I could do that, or I wish I had space for this, it's either a wish or it is a priority. If it is a priority, you are going to be creating space for it. You are going to have the mindset that this is your identity. This is the version of you that holds this as an importance. And it is simply going to become a part of your routine and your regimen moving forward. Looking at my own life, I can see that over the last year and a bit, or even more than that, since stress really started to take a toll on my body with this company collapse, exercise and taking care of my body and feeling healthy in my skin just simply did not become a priority for me anymore. It was something that was on the back burner. I hardly worked out. I was doing very gentle cortisol lowering activities like walking or yoga or my vibration plate. I was not really into high cardiovascular movement, being able to burn off calories, and was ultimately eating more than I was working off, essentially. And over the last year and a bit, I've gotten a little bit softer in my body. And that's not a bad thing, but I definitely have some goals in terms of strength, in terms of cardio, in terms of my ability to climb a fucking hill when I go to watch a waterfall come down. And I've recognized over the last 10 days that my health is not where I want it to be physically right now. And there's some changes that need to happen. And so already over the last 10 days, the priority of my well being, my physical activity has become a top notch priority. I have been going for lots of walks and getting in more intense physical activity and starting to change the way that I am eating and drinking enough water and doing all of these things to prioritize the health of my body and get my physique, my strength back to what it was before, or even better than it was before, so that I can actually live my life and do the things that I want to do in this life with the body that I have. And so this for me has shifted to become a priority. But I have to decide that for myself, take responsibility for it, and fit that into the time that I have every single day. Now, depending on you, depending where you're at, depending if you have kids and other priorities in your life, you're going to have to decide what actually is a priority for me right now and what is not. Because the truth is that you can do it all, but you have to decide what is actually going to be going on in your day to day life right now as a whole moving forward. Now, I mean, this is a very long winded way of saying that priorities and mindset and cultivating the life that you desire all ultimately falls into your lap in terms of where you're currently at. But I kind of hope this to be a loving kick in the butt for you to take a look at my life and recognize that I'm not where I'm at because of luck or because of some divine lining up of the universe that just happened to fall into my lap. I am here in the life that I'm living, the things that I'm doing, the things that I'm achieving, the things that I am creating and cultivating for me in my life because of the choice to stretch my comfort zone, because of the choice to make certain things priority, because of the decision to do differently or demand more for my life, or to recognize that I don't want to be brainwashed or conditioned or programmed any longer. I am where I'm at in my life and headed in the direction that I'm going because of the things that I have inevitably known within me for a really long time, but have ultimately chose to do something with. And for each of us, we have those choices. There is opportunities in every moment of every day for you to do something different, for you to line up the direction of your life with where you most want to go, for you to become the version of you that you most want to become, for you to create the things that you most want to create. There's opportunities available to you in every moment of every day, but you have to decide. You have to take responsibility and you have to stretch those fucking comfort zones. No matter how uncomfortable it might feel right now, I promise you it's going to feel more uncomfortable you staying in that fucking comfort zone for the rest of your life. I've seen on Instagram lately, there's been a trend going around where people are talking about that there's only two people that you have to impress in this lifetime, and that's your 8-year-old self and your 80-year-old self. And I couldn't agree more. I don't want to be 80 years old looking back on my life thinking, man, I'm so happy I settled. Man, I'm so grateful that I stayed in that job that I hated, that I worked for that person that I disliked so much, that I kept friends and family in my life who did not respect me or care for me or show up for me. Man, I'm so glad that I limited myself and I didn't see the world or I didn't experience these things or I didn't become this thing that I wanted to become. Man, I'm so glad I held on to those old identities, those old fears, those old beliefs. Nah, I truly hope and desire, and in fact, I know, given the things that I'm already doing in this life, that when I reach 80 years old, I want to look back, and I know I will look back, and I'll feel so fucking proud of look at the life I've lived, look at the things I've experienced, look at the things that I've done. I'm going to feel gratitude and contentedness and comfort in all of those things. And the amazing part of that is that that is how I am feeling now on a daily basis. Zero regret, zero anger, zero resentment, zero fear, just excitement, contentedness, groundedness, love, joy, presence, all of those feelings. And I can only hope to cultivate more of that. I know I will cultivate more of that because I'm going to continue to show up the way that I'm showing up, continue to make the choices that I'm making, continue to walk away from the hard things, continue to just call in more goodness for my life in every way, shape, and form. No matter how uncertain I might feel, no matter how scary it might be, no matter how many rules of society I have to break, I'm going to do that. And I know that I'm going to experience a really good fucking life because of it. So my only hope, my only wish, my only desire for you today is that you do something to put yourself on the path and the trajectory of that same way of being. Not to follow suit in my life, not to do things as I'm doing them, because again, my goal here is not to influence you, is to de-influence you. But for you to figure out what type of life speaks volumes to you, what type of life feels good and delicious to you, and for you to go after that and create that for you in your own way. And I know that you will. I know that you have the capability to do that. And in fact, you have everything that you need to be able to achieve that, whether you're recognizing that for yourself or not. And so, a little word of advice to end today's episode: go and do the damn thing. Whatever it is, whatever you need to do to stretch that comfort zone and call in a little bit more of yourself this week. Shed a mask, baby girl. It's time for you to get closer to who you truly want to be. And you're the only one that can get you there. So with that, I wish you a fabulous rest of your day. I will catch you in the next episode. Go regulate yourself, and I'll talk to you soon. Mwah. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Go Regulate Yourself podcast. If you felt called out in the best way, I would be so honored if you drop below and leave a review or share this with a friend who needs to hear it too. And remember, regulate yourself before you wreck yourself. I'll catch you in the next episode. Mwah.